High-tech treasure hunt. All kinds of games. When my brother Sol came home from South Korea, I think he was a little confused. He'd been an exchange student there for 6 months. During that time, my family hosted Hee-jung, a student from Seoul, the capital of South Korea. She stayed with us for another week, but she spent almost all the time with me. I thought Hee-jung would be excited to speak Korean with me, Sol said. And I thought you would be excited to play basketball with me, but you two are my best friends. It wasn't that way. It wasn't that way when Hee Jung arrived. What 16-year-old wants to hang out with a fifth grader? But everything changed when she saw me playing drill, a computer game where you mine minerals. You play, she asked eagerly, showing me her online profile. I've been playing since I was your age. From then on, Heejung and I played all kinds of games. From massive online games to classic board games to chessy smartphone puzzles. I never met anyone else who liked games as much as I did. I was happy. Solo was back, of course, but I was also sad because that meant Heejung had to leave. Solo wasn't interested in games that weren't sports. On our last day, Heejung pulled me aside while Dao loaded her suitcase into the car. Trey, I made a game for you, she said. Like a computer game? More like a puzzle. I hid a special prize, and I'll give you clues to find it. I'll email you the first clue when I get back to Seoul, she said, giving me a hug, so we won't be too sad. The first clue. Before school got out the next day, I checked my email on the class computer and found a message from Heejung. Safe in Seoul. Your first clue is 38.907233 and minus 77.010531. I knew those numbers. They were coordinates of GPS, and I typed them into an online map. They pointed to Seoul's high school, where Heejung also went while she stayed with us. I got there just as Seoul came out of the building. Trey, what are you doing here, man? He asked, smiling. Heejung made a treasure hunt for me, and the first clue is somewhere in your school, I said. His smile sagged. Oh, well, what's the clue? I don't know, but I'll bet it's in the basement, where we play some samurai and shogun. Seoul followed me down the stairs and into the little room at the back of the basement. Heejung had invited me to game nights hosted by a math teacher. A couple of kids were there down deep in focus, over boxes and collectible cards. I tiptoed past them. I've never been down here, Solo whispered. I spotted a bulletin board covered with flyers. One was bright purple, Heejung's favorite color, and said, Puzzle clue for you, with another set of coordinates. This must be, I shouted, startling the card players. What are those numbers? Sol asked. GPS coordinates, just like the first clue. That's how I knew to look in your school. Sounds like a weird game, but okay, Sol said, typing the numbers into the map on his smartphone. Wait, are you sure these are right? He asked. These would take us to Gettysburg battlefield, nearly 2 hours away. Pretty tricky. On our way home, I begged Sol to take me to Gettysburg. Are you kidding? I can't borrow the car and drive 2 hours to help you with some weird treasure hunt. I kicked stones as we walked. Anyway, isn't it unfair for Heejung to make you go all the way to Gettysburg? I turned that over in my head. The clue at school was from something Heejung and I had done together. Mom and Dad took us there, I said, thinking a lot Pennsylvania was really pretty, and a light bulb went on in my head as I sprinted toward home. Hey, wait up, Sol called. Mom helped me find Heejung's photo showing website. Heejung took photos of everything, from bagels to locks to foggy bus windows. I scrolled until I spotted a green expensive Gettysburg. There, in a selfie, Heejung held a scrap of purple paper with the message, "Go where blue and green meet." Just then, Sol came in and peered over our shoulders. "Whoa, that's pretty tricky," he said, sounding impressed. "How long ago did you guys go to Gettysburg?" "Months ago," Mom said. That's when I realized how long Heejung had been planning this treasure hunt. "Do you think blue and green mean water and land?" I asked. It could also be a metro," Sol offered. "The only place where the blue line and the green line across in the Olafsan El Enfant Plaza." "Hey, you're pretty good at this," I said. Too easy. That Saturday, Sol and I searched everywhere, every platform and bench of the enormous Oliphant station, until a metro employee noticed us. "Did you lose something?" he asked. "We're on a treasure hunt. My friend left a clue here for me," I explained. "I'm sorry, but the custodians clean this whole place every night. It probably got thrown away." Sol put a hand on my shoulder, leading me to the next train home. I was sad about my prize, but I was even sadder that Heejung had gone through so much work for nothing. When we got home, I emailed her. "If you left it at Enfant, it got thrown away." Heejung sent back a smiley. "That would be too easy, but you're on the right track. I miss you, but it's nice to be back in Seoul." "So it's not an elephant?" I wondered out loud. Sol looked up from the couch. "It wasn't. Track seems to mean trains. But which trains, if not the metro?" I asked. "And why Seoul all in caps?" "Well, there's a huge subway in Seoul. I got lost there about 15 times," Sol said. Was there a blue line and a green line?" I asked. More than one. Sol walked over, sat down beside me, and began searching out the map of the Seoul subway. The map he found reminded me of a plate of rainbow-colored spaghetti. Sol started reading the names of the stations, which were all in Korean characters. "How can she expect me to find something I can't read?" I said. Because she knew I could read it, Sol pointed to the center of the map. A blue line and green line intersected under a name in English, City Hall. Remembering the Gettysburg clue, I flipped through Heejung's photos. "What did Seoul's City Hall look like?" I asked. Cole shrugged. "Like an upside-down waterfall from the future." "What?" I asked. I laughed. I decided to search the internet for the photos of Seoul City Hall. But when I hit enter, I realized I accidentally typed City Hall into the map of Washington, D.C. I didn't even know Washington had a City Hall, but the map pointed right to it. Sol and I looked at each other, and without a word, we both ran for our bikes. "Say go." "I'll feel bad if I'm wrong again," Sol called as he walked toward DC's old city hall. "Being wrong is a part of the game," I called back. Sol shook his head. "See, I still don't get that." City Hall was a pretty block of buildings with high white lawns. Somehow I knew this was the place, but after searching the square, I saw nothing. "Oh man, these puzzles are too frustrating," Sol moaned. Just then, I pointed at a purple envelope tied to a tree branch. behind him. It felt as though Heejung had just been there. Inside the envelope was a business card from my favorite game store and a note that said, "Just say go." "Go, go, go," I shouted, jumping on my bike. I burst into the store and ran to the counter, where Rick, the owner, grinned as though he'd been expecting me. I'm supposed to say go," I said. Rick reached under the counter and retrieved a box wrapped in purple paper. She wouldn't tell me what it was, I said. He said, watching eagerly as I unwrapped it. Inside was a wooden board, plain except for a carved grid like a graph paper. There also was a bag of black and white pieces shaped like mints. "So what is that?" Sol asked. "That's Go," Rick explained, "one of the oldest games in the world. It's kind of like checkers. Because the rules are simple, but kind of like chess. Because it takes a lifetime to master." There was also a card with the website address and the message, "We can play online." 3. Heejung, I followed Sol out of the store, lost in thought about the wide world possibilities of the new game. "It was pretty cool doing this treasure hunt with you," he said. "I wouldn't have found the treasure without your help," I said. "It's too bad Heejun got you that nice board, but the guys can only play online." Sol gave me a hesitant smile. "Maybe you can teach me that game too." I touched the crisp lines on the board and felt the small, smooth pieces. "Brew," I said,